Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stay In and Cheer 2022. On behalf of the entire Palmer Scholar staff and board of directors, I want to start by extending my sincerest gratitude for you making the decision to share your lunch hour with us. We have a phenomenal lineup of scholars for you to hear from today, and I'll be sharing a few updates on the tremendous growth we've experienced over the past few years. Before we move any further, however, it's imperative that we acknowledge that the work of Palmer Scholars is carried out on, and our office space is located within, occupied Coast Salish land, specifically that of the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. We pay respect to Coast Salish elders past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and to all indigenous peoples. To acknowledge this land is to recognize its longer history and our place in that history. It is to recognize these lands and waters and their significance for the peoples who lived and continue to live in this region, whose practices and spiritualities were and are tied to the land and the water, and whose lives continue to enrich and develop in relationship to the land, waters, and other inhabitants today. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jonathan Jackson, and I have the true pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for Palmer Scholars. I've been with the organization since 2014, first as Program Director, then as a board member and mentor, and returned to assume the position of Executive Director in 2018. I also have the honor and privilege of serving as today's Master of Ceremonies. I want to extend a special thank you to our elected officials that are in attendance today, including Mayor Victoria Woodards and Deputy Mayor Catherine Ushka, County Executive Bruce Dameyer, Senator Twana Nobles, and Representative Lori Jenkins. To any additional elected officials that I've missed, please charge it to my head and not my heart. I would also like to thank all of our active duty and retired service members and public school teachers, administrators, and school board members. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge a very special person who is not here with us today. As many of you know, my decision to return to Palmer Scholars came about after our previous executive director, Sally Bowes, was forced to step down as she faced her second battle against metastatic breast cancer. If there is one thing that can undoubtedly be said of Sally, it's that she was a fighter. Unfortunately, after nearly 4 years since her diagnosis, Sally lost her battle against cancer earlier this year. Sally was more than a former boss. She was a mentor, a friend, a grandmother. I know that she is here with us in spirit, and that she would be proud to see where the organization that she poured so much into has come in the past few years. Sally, we love you and we miss you. The last few years have been tough, to say the least. Navigating a global pandemic, witnessing the increased visibility of violence against Black and brown bodies, deep political division, and now grappling with the uncertainty of entering into another war. Our community, our world, has been through a lot. As members of our community, the scholars we serve have been through quite a lot themselves. It's times like these that really highlight the importance of community and solidarity. One of the things that excites me most about getting up every morning to continue this important work, to continue instigating good trouble, is knowing that our community has our back. Our Palmer family has shown up time and time again to help ensure that we have the resources necessary to continue to aid and guide our scholars as they identify and progress toward their goals. We are beyond grateful for your support and recognize that we could not have done this without you. We've been blessed to not only survive, but thrive during these tumultuous times. And I look forward to sharing updates on just how our programs have expanded over the past few years. We're here today to celebrate our amazing scholars. Though we would love to break bread and fellowship with our Palmer family, out of an abundance of caution, we decided to postpone an in-person gathering for just one more year. Next year, we will celebrate 40 years of service, and please believe we will be doing it big. But if there's one thing we've learned over the past 2 years, it's that though it may not be ideal, it is possible to maintain connections from a distance, to celebrate from a distance. I would like to formally kick off today's proceedings by recognizing our phenomenal event sponsors. I'm blown away when I look at this list of 44 businesses, organizations, and individuals who have stepped up and made a commitment to ensure the success of this event before it even began. 44. Those 44 sponsorships represent $121,400, more than doubling the sponsorships that we secured for our last in-person event in 2019. Let's show our sponsors some love. Our presenting sponsors, Carino and Associates, Dukes Bay Productions, Jerry McLaughlin, and the Tacoma Urban League. These sponsors contributed $10,000 or more to make today's event possible. Thank you. Next, we have our valedictorian / master craftsperson sponsors. Group Health Foundation, Sound Transit, J-Ray, Graduate Tacoma, Dan Powell, BCRA, Clover Park Technical College, Bar Green Ellingson, McGranahan Architects, and WSECU. Next, we have our summa cum laude / foreman sponsors. Financial Insights, Parametric, Pacific Lutheran University, Pediatrics Northwest, Columbia Bank, Willie Stewart, and Wade and Beth Perro. Thank you. We also have 6 magna cum laude / journeyman sponsors and 18 cum laude / apprentice sponsors whose names and logos are on the screen before you. Thanks to these amazing sponsors and supporters like you who have given in advance of today's event, we are starting with just over $128,000 in the bank, 64% of our fundraising goal. As amazing as that is, however, we have a ways to go to reach our $200,000 goal. The great news is that we have a match, and every gift made today will be matched dollar for dollar. We can do it. Funds raised today enable us to continue to provide scholarships and wraparound supports to the nearly 200 young adults currently enrolled in our programs. Your generosity is key to ensuring that we can continue to make higher education a financial reality for the young people that we serve. Please feel free to make your donation at any time by clicking the button that pops up on the screen periodically throughout today's event, the link that appears in the chat, or through our website. With all of that said, it's time to move forward with what you all came here for. We've got some phenomenal scholars for you all to hear from today, and I'm beyond excited to cue up this video featuring none other than Reese Martin. It has been nothing short of a blessing to be able to watch Reese grow since he came into the program, and to work alongside him now that he's come full circle to serve the next generation of Palmer Scholars. Now, enough of me talking. Let's get to the video.
My name is Reese Martin. I graduated from Foss High School, class of 2018. I then furthered my education at the University of Washington, graduated class of 2021 in business marketing, majored in sports enterprise management. Now I'm currently working at Palmer Scholars as a scholar engagement coordinator. I was at a point in life where I kind of had an idea on what I wanted to do, but wasn't really sure on how to get there. I came from a single parent household where my mom was always telling me you're going to go to college. She was speaking things into existence. And, my mom's highest form of education was high school. So she didn't know what, looking like college looked like pretty much. And so I was pretty much left with this dream with, no way of getting there. So I initially found out from Palmer Scholars by the program director today. He came to Foss High School and he made a presentation on, Palmer Scholars. And at the time, I was a junior who thought he knew it all. So I honestly was not paying attention. All I saw was a brother who was, dressed up. I was like, he looks nice, but I'm not really digging what he's saying at the moment. And pretty much my mentor actually pushed me to apply for the program because he knew what I wanted. He knew that I didn't have the means to get there. So he was like, hey, this program is pretty much a right fit for you. So you need to actually get on it and, apply for the scholarship. Because if you do, this is that first step you need to take if you want to go to college. For me, essentially, it was the money. Definitely the money is what drove me for Palmer Scholars, but that was my first initial thought. But actually getting into the program, I then actually found, what Palmer Scholars could actually offer me, and definitely it made a big impact on my life, just not financially, but from, a community standpoint, having that support group, which was really big for me. and also seeing kids who look just like me having the same, aspirations. That played a big role in just, my motivation and that push for college. I seen that email from Palmer's and I just started yelling. I was just like, let's go. And so I was just so hyped for it because that was my first scholarship. Once I told my mom was like, yeah, my baby's gonna make it. Yeah, see, I already knew that was in you. And it was just a huge celebration. So definitely there was nobody who was, raining on parade or anything. It was just all love at the end of the day. The biggest obstacle for me was, COVID. COVID definitely played a big part in, the challenges that I faced only because I was shifting from going into in-person classes to now doing all my classes online from my laptop right in my bed. And, there was definitely a huge slump in my motivation just because, I'm in bed. I can go to sleep whenever I want. Teachers weren't really too big on attendance. They're just like, if you get the work done, you get the work done. And so, I procrastinated a whole lot. My procrastination was at an all-time high. Uh, but definitely, just with everything that was going on with like the Black Lives Matter movement too, just a lot going on in my headspace. But, I was able to push through it again just because, that support factor. And I keep bringing that up. It was really big just because I had people that I could talk to. I had people in Palmer's who were checking up on me. I talked to people like Devon or Tiffany, just about what's going on and just having them visit me too sometimes. So like maybe drop something off for me, that played a big role in it. The most significant impact, Palmer's definitely had on me was probably the position that they offered me in 2019, I want to say, which was the outreach and recruitment specialist. It was a new position that they were trying out, just having, current scholars go out and recruit. Who better to, pretty much tell people about the program than people who are actually in the program? And so I definitely wanted to give back. And I was in a position where, I was actually needing those coins just because I was in a situation where I was in the dorms, didn't really have a whole lot of food to eat. So I was definitely struggling, you know, having to go off of $10 of gas every single trip. And, it was definitely a struggle. So for Palmer's to, actually kick the opportunity to me for me to earn extra coins, but not only that, earn that professional experience. And another thing aside of that too is being able to network. I mean, that's invaluable because it in turn, helped me go full circle with the program and actually be in a position to now, contribute to the success of Palmer's and the impact that actually has on, a number of students' lives. Palmer Scholars is not just a scholarship where we just hand you the scholarship. It's like, hey, go do your thing, and then we forget all about you. Uh, Definitely stay connected, even when I do graduate from the program. And we definitely touch bases. Um, we're pretty much there for you. It's like a lifelong thing, where it's almost like you're in a fraternity where like if you need to depend on us or you need like a connection that you may need, you're able to pretty much rely on us in a way. And it becomes like this family where if you're ever in a pinch, like you can go to your family and pretty much they're willing to help you out just because you're family. So I think that's the experience that I get from, just being in the program. And that's what I feel like Palmer Scholars is all about. I'm definitely here willing to share my experience because I want students who look like me to know that they're able to do it, that if they have a goal and, they're willing to put in the work, you're definitely going to be able to, achieve that goal. But to not forget that, you need people to support you. You need a tribe to be able to push you because, you're not going to always be able to do it on your own. You're not going to have all the information, all the knowledge. And so with that being said, you need to lean on others and you need to listen and allow people to pretty much pour into you. And another thing is too, it's like, I'm not gonna let the color of my skin dictate whether or not I'm gonna be successful. You know, with everything that's been instilled into me from birth, I'm gonna grind and go out there and get it. I'm not gonna let anybody just hand it to me. I'm gonna take it. And so I want everybody to know that it's possible, that you're able to do it. It's going to take a lot of determination, it's going to take you keeping your head down and grinding, but definitely, I didn't do it on my own.
See, the crazy thing is, I've been involved with this video since the very beginning, from reviewing the questions to serving as the interviewer during the filming to several iterations of editing, but I still get goosebumps listening to this young king share his story. It brings me such immense pride to know that we are able to have an impact on the young people we serve, and to hear them talk about Palmer Scholars in their own words, what it means to them. I think that the fact that Reese has decided to come full circle and work for Palmer Scholars is testament itself to the fact that we're not simply trying to finesse the community when we talk about this family-oriented approach that we take to serving our young people. Reese, I see you. I appreciate you. I mentioned in my opening comments that we've been very fortunate to grow over the course of this pandemic. When I took over as executive director in 2018, we had a staff of 4 and a budget of roughly $600,000. Together, we've been able to more than double our annual operating budget, increasing it to just shy of $1.5 million this fiscal year. This financial growth has enabled us to increase that team of 4 to a team of 13. We've always been small but mighty, but now we're a little less small and a lot more mighty. We've also been able to grow our board of directors, and in doing so, have increased representation of professionals who look like our scholars at the highest level of governance of our organization. Increasing the size of our team has enabled us to double down on the quality of service we can provide to the young people we serve. It's enabled us to spread the work around more evenly among our team members, to reduce burnout. It's given our staff the ability to prioritize vacation time and to practice self-care, which is immensely important as they work through the secondary trauma that comes with helping young people interact with systems and navigate institutions that weren't built with them in mind. As many of you know, Palmer Scholars has been around for nearly 40 years. In that time frame, we've done great work. I've had the pleasure of being around the organization for nearly the last quarter of its existence, and at all times, I've prioritized improvement. From leading the effort to move up the selection of our scholars to their junior year in high school, to responding to feedback from my team about issues related to the lack of transparency with our scholarship amounts and the fact that our scholars need additional support beyond covering tuition and room and board. I've made it a priority to center the multifaceted needs of our scholars and to do everything in my power to empower my team to meet our scholars where they are and provide them what they need in order to get where they want to get. I've also been very intentional about shifting the narrative at Palmer Scholars, about giving credit where credit is due and honoring the gifts of the young people we serve. For many years, the contributions of our co-founder, Reverend Alfred Davis of the Eastside Assembly of Believers, formerly known as the Eastside Community Church, have been downplayed. That's something that I'm not okay with. It was the friendship that Merle had with Reverend Davis that gave him credibility to gain access to the Black community and other communities of color. Together, our co-founders made possible the work that I have the honor of moving forward nearly 40 years later. If you look at our website now, under our history, you will see that that story has been corrected and that we appropriately list both Merle and Reverend Davis and their wives, Rosemary and Mary, as co-founders of this amazing organization, as it should have always been. I've also been intentional about working with my team to ensure that the way we talk about our scholars is respectful, that it is reflective of the way that we actually view them, and that it honors what they bring to the table. I refuse to take a deficit-oriented approach to talking about our scholars, even if that means that there might be a buzzword missing from my appeal to a donor that causes them to give less or to not give at all. I put the dignity of our scholars ahead of my desire to raise dollars when approaching this work. And while I recognize that that might create more work for my team and I, that's work that we're willing to put in. It's a value that is shared across this organization. There's so much more I could say on this subject, but in the interest of time, I'm going to wrap up with this. For years, our tagline has been creating hope and opportunity through education. While there is nothing wrong with focusing on hope and opportunity, to claim that we are the creators of it is to take an approach that is rooted in saviorism, to operate under the presumption that our scholars have no hope. That is simply not true. The young people we serve are talented, intelligent, capable, and they have hope for their futures. What they are lacking is the network, resources, and savvy to navigate institutions that weren't built with them in mind in order to make their hopes and dreams come true. We are but stewards of their hope, Sherpas, if you will, as they climb toward the mountaintop. To that end, though if you've been paying attention to our marketing recently, you will have already seen this. Today, I want to formally introduce our new tagline. Wherever they start, whatever their path, we are committed. Another major expansion that has taken place over the past couple of years is the development of the Palmer Pathways Pre-Apprenticeship Program. I have to give a special shout out to Christina Rupp, my partner in crime, who has been instrumental in developing this initiative from a good idea that I shared with her over lunch to a state-recognized apprenticeship preparation program unlike any you've seen before. Whereas most pre-apprenticeship programs are tied to one particular craft, we take an intentional approach to exposing our pre-apprentices to a variety of crafts within the construction industry. Over the course of this program, our pre-apprentices earn up to 8 certifications, hear from union representatives and industry experts about the realities of navigating careers in the trades, focus on physical conditioning, safety, construction math, and ultimately build a tiny home that we donate to the Multicultural Child and Family Hope Center. Best of all, we have partnerships with 15 registered apprenticeship programs to ensure that our pre-apprentices are able to secure family-sustaining wages upon completion. Like everything we do, this work wouldn't be possible without our amazing partners. Thank you. We're now going to pivot into a fireside chat with 3 of our distinguished alumni, including Mr. Martin, who you heard from earlier. Each of these alumni have, in their own way, made a full circle journey with Palmer Scholars, and I'm excited for you to be able to hear from them. Let's go.
My name is Shantia Copeland Walton. I graduated from Lincoln High School in 2011, and then I went to the University of Washington and graduated in 2015. And now I am a program director for the YMCA and a health and wellness instructor for the Palmer Scholars.
All right, thank you. Amalia?
My name is Amalia Ferris. I graduated from Spanaway Lake High School in 2010 and then went to UW as well in the social work program and graduated in 2014. Now I work at the Multicultural Child and Family Help Center with our early learning and family support team.
All right.
Well, my name is Reese Martin. I graduated from Foss High School in 2018. Then I pursued my education at University of Washington also. Graduated in the class of 2021. Now currently I'm at Palmer Scholars as a scholar engagement coordinator.
All right. I love it. I love it.
House full of Huskies.
Yeah, house full of Huskies.
Okay.
At least I didn't go to WSU, or I might feel a little weird right now. POU. Well, since you left off, why don't we start with you, Reese? Tell me, what's your favorite thing about Palmer Scholars and being involved with the programs?
Honestly, for me, my favorite thing about Palmer Scholars is the community aspect of everything. I just know that I can connect with anybody in the program, whether that be my mentor, whether it be the staff in the program, or just alumni, or the kids inside the program. It's definitely feels like, everybody comes to me with open arms, and I never have to feel like I have to put on a front. So definitely, just having that family atmosphere, that's like the most favorite thing for me.
Yeah, there we go. Shantia, what about you?
I can definitely relate to that. If I think about from me being a high school student at Lincoln to now, it's how small Palmer Scholar is, but how impactful it is at the same time. It's impacted my life a lot, and I've been able to come back full circle and now help the organization and the current scholars as well. So it's just super impactful, like how much you guys have supported me through my journey. Like I don't know where I would be without Palmer Scholar. Yeah.
That's a word. Amalia, what about you?
Definitely a clean piggyback off of Shantia, being able to have a support system that starts outside of your family, but still feels like a family. Then they're able to give you that support system. I also personally love how much Palmer has grown so far from when, we were in, Shantia and I were in high school till now. Back then we joined as seniors in the program. Now scholars are joining as juniors. And so being able to watch the growth has been my favorite thing personally.
You know, a lot of young people coming into the program don't have any sense of that mentorship angle, right? And I'm glad you had that mentor in your life, because a lot of the folks that we're bringing in, they're not really thinking along those lines. They're thinking, here's a scholarship. And then they find out about the mentor and they're like, oh, okay, this is dope. This is cool. This is going to help. But part of this is all about surrounding you with a network of people. Can you tell me about some of the relationships that you've built over the course of being a Palmer Scholar, some of the connections you've made, and maybe how they've helped impact you along your journey?
No, yeah, definitely. The biggest one I would say for myself is the connections I just built with the staff, and even with you. Just being at UWT, which was right down the street from the office, I would always come down to, chat it up with, some old staff that don't work there anymore, but still played a big impact in my life. It definitely gave me the opportunity to just even get professional experience when I worked as a scholar, not a scholar engagement coordinator, but an outreach and recruitment specialist. You know, being able to go back into the community and, help the students who are in my position, trying to get those headstrong juniors who are like, yo, you don't know everything, like, really trying to apply yourself to this, opportunity and apply for the scholarship. But definitely I would say, the staff helped me out a lot
Yeah.
with, just some personal things, and at the same time, getting that professional experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shantia, what about you? Tell me about some of the relationships and connections you've built as a scholar.
Definitely staff, including you, because you've been there since I was a scholar. I can't remember her name right now, but I think she was in your position when I was a
Tiffany Bowser.
Yes,
Mhm.
Tiffany. She was very impactful because she was a Black woman. So seeing someone that's exactly like a representation of who you are and who you plan to be, hopefully successful in the future, it was nice to see someone like that firsthand, be able to talk to her, call her, email her, text her. So that was nice. And then goodness, there was another lady. She was older. I don't know if she's still there, but she definitely helped me, especially when, like, I remember one time I was living in U District. It's very expensive in Seattle. And one time I needed my scholarship money, like not for tuition, but for other reasons. And she helped me figure out a way to make that happen. And that was very impactful because that was like kind of, life or death almost in a way to me, especially as fresh out of being at home, and now I'm on my own and I have to learn how to manage my money and pay all these bills that I've never paid before. So yeah, that was definitely impactful. And I would just say again, because you've been there since I was a scholar, but now I'm able to come back and help and be a part of the team as an alumni and help with the current scholars. So yeah. Definitely impactful.
No, that's real. I think I had been on the job for about a week when you and Onika first popped in the office when we were over in the annex for the school district. And you were one of the first students that I met through the program.
Yeah.
But no, that's real. I mean, what you said in terms of, hey, tuition is met right now. I was able to get some other scholarships, but I need some more flexibility with this funding. Like there's some other things that are going to get in my way. I'm glad we were able to make that happen.
Yes.
Recently we've implemented some new structures to help kind of address those kinds of costs. And so that's just a good kind of reinforcement of just how important something like that is.
It is, especially living in Seattle.
Yeah, no, I can dig that. Yeah. Amalia, what about you?
My story was similar. When I had first come into the program and started college, my relationships with the staff, I think, allowed a safe space for me to be and just grow and learn. And when I came into some similar struggles, the expected family contribution wasn't really what my parent was paying. It was what I was going to have to come up with. And it increased from my freshman to sophomore year. And my conversations with Tiffany, she was like, let me see what we could do, and so what back then was an informal process for, accessing more emergency funds now is a more formal process for our students when they run into those similar situations. That was a big support and a big help for me. And then outside of that, in addition to the relationships with the staff, being able to transfer from the Seattle campus down to University of Washington, Tacoma, and come into professional relationships and partnerships with different staff and different programs, the individuals and the leaders in our community here in Pierce County that shows up at Palmer, back then when it was the in-person stand-up and cheer celebrations. I see them at their graduate Tacoma ones. I see them at, different ones for the school district or different other community agencies. And so I've been able to deepen my original relationships with them as well. So that's been a beautiful blend of my community personally and professionally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that community piece is key.
Yeah.
I hear from all of your responses, whether it's, just being able to pop up to the office and spend some time with the staff just to, blow off some steam or just have a conversation about random stuff, or, being able to actually sit down and say, hey, my financial situation is not what we thought it was going to be. Can you help me out? Like, that's something that we really pride ourselves on, is that personal connection that we make with young people that, in the absence of that connection, you might not feel comfortable coming and sharing that your financial situation is what it is, or that you're dealing with whatever kind of interpersonal issue on campus. So, and I know I heard you said it loud and clear. I mean, when it came to, Tiffany doing the recruitment, being a Black woman, really being able to see yourself in that person, that kind of brings up, we talk a lot about representation mattering, what does that mean? Like, from your perspective, representation matters. How does that show up with Palmer Scholars, and how did that impact your experience?
I would say, for one, representation matters because you want to see, perception and inclusivity.
Yeah.
You need to see people that look like you, that come from where you come from, in these roles and positions, a variety of roles and positions, not just entertainment, not just going on the news and you see us looking as criminals, and that's all you know about people that look like you. So being able to have someone that look like you in a positive light, it matters so much, because then as a youth, as a young person, or even an older person too, maybe you get inspired and motivated and you feel like it's more possible because you see someone that looks like you. Now, if you don't, then you don't even think about it. I think that's why it was so important to see a Black president, and I got to vote for the first Black president. Moments like that is very impactful, because now you have younger kids who look like me growing up thinking they can be the president because they actually seen it in their lifetime. So yeah, I think it matters for so many reasons.
You all have the skills and abilities. You have the knowledge. You have the inherent kind of strength to be able to make things happen. We're really just here to kind of be stewards for you, right? Like, introduce you to different opportunities, help you to navigate those different kind of structures that might not have been built with you in mind. But at the end of the day, we're playing off of the strengths that you bring to the table. Reese, tell me, what do you think is like an inherent strength of yours that you really feel like helped you be successful? And in what way, if at all, did Palmer kind of play off of that strength, or did you feel like that strength that you brought to the table was really honored?
Gotcha. Man, that's a really good question. No, definitely a strength that I think you guys really did play off of and just help, grow inside myself was, my ability to, I guess, be social in a way where, in high school, I've always been that kid to, want to be in every community that I could be, try to network, try to, include kids who are feeling left out, and then just try to be cool with everybody. That's just how I've always been. That's what my mom raised me to be. And then kind of going into Palmer's, it's like I was forced, not really forced, but, I had the opportunity to then network with kids who looked like me. And then with the event like Stand Up and Share, seeing all these people in the community, getting to like network with them, getting to see, different perspectives of life. You guys definitely helped, I guess, nurture that natural talent that I did have, and, help grow it into something that I now use today to, help me network in the community, get opportunities for, the students in our program, and continue to make an impact.
Shantia, what about you? How do you feel like Palmer has kind of respected what you brought to the table and built on that?
It's really hard to think about this because you put a little extra to this question, Jonathan. But originally what I was thinking was, like, growing up, I feel like in order for me to get through my childhood, because it wasn't the easiest, I definitely had some traumatic experiences. I was a resilient kid. And I think that's just grown through college. And I believe Palmer just kind of nurtured that. Because even in moments where I felt like I couldn't be resilient at UW, being on my own, all these extra bills, a working student, volunteering, and there's so much going on at once. And being in a school where you're only like less than 2% of the population, and most of that is the athletes. So you really don't see anybody that looks like you. So I think when I really needed the nurturing to keep the resilient spirit, Palmer was there. through the mentor, through the staff, through the finances and the support there too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Mm.
Mario, what about you? How would you answer that question?
I think an inherent skill that I have is just this tenacity to never quit. Not because things come easy, not because, you know, I had it always figured out, but just because of, you know, my past and kind of like what I've had to grow through and go through. And so knowing that I was going into college and whatever I needed to do to figure it out along the way, I knew I was going to finish, knowing that Palmer was there, you know, and then even showed up and was able to support me extra when I needed it was always a blessing to kind of just have my own corner of cheerleaders, of those who, you know, to have their dollars entrusted to me as a student motivated me to then, you know, just know that, okay, I'm definitely not quitting. I got to figure this out. And how can I be the best steward of these dollars and, you know, make that investment, you know, just exponential so that it could come back to the community, impact the community and you know, continue that kind of way that Palmer operates, I think really aligns with that as well.
I'm just curious, you know, what you would each say to our support base to just kind of, you know, what you would say to them about their impact on you and then about the importance of continuing to invest, because we all know the work is far from done, right?
I definitely would say to especially the long term and then even to the new, you know, incoming that the investment you make is exponential. So I'm very appreciative of the stress that was able to come off of me when I was able to not have to focus on my finances, but then really focus on school and on growing and on, you know, helping my family and my community and my college, you know, campus life and everything. I think that I will never know each individual person who contributed $1 to my experience, but it's like that furniture on the carpet, right? Once you move it, that impression is still there. And so being able to thank whoever back then contributed to me and whoever continues to, or is maybe even, you know, wondering how much to contribute, just know that whatever you add, there is a long lasting impact, because we as scholars will never forget that, you know, and we never take it for granted either. It is definitely going to great use. It's creating some great leaders in our community. And yeah, just a huge from the bottom of my heart and soul and shoes. Thank you.
Wow. Just wow. What an honor it was to sit among these three amazing young adults. Here I am with goosebumps yet again as I rewatch that footage for probably the 97th time, each time deepening the sense of pride that this work brings me. For those of you glancing over at the clock, rest assured that we are nearing the end of our program and we will have you out of here on time. To that end, if you thought that there was some intentionality behind positioning Amalia's comments about the importance of your continued generosity at the end of that video, then that was a very astute observation on your part. Amalia, back to you.
We appreciate you being with us today to stay in and cheer our Pathway and Legacy scholars, mentors, volunteers, and sponsors. The hard work, dedication, and passion that goes into the work that is coming out of this program is amazing. And now it is time. You have an opportunity to join in partnership with Palmer Scholars, continuing to launch our scholars, our next leaders in our community, our next kings and queens, from wherever they start, whatever their path, together. We are committed. You will see a donate and give button on your screen that will take you directly to support the work that we are doing and how we are continuing to grow. We are stronger with you and your generous support because of it. So thank you.
Thank you all again for taking the time to celebrate our scholars at our 2022 Stay In and Cheer virtual luncheon. I hope that this event has been as inspiring for you as it has been for me, that it's renewed your resolve to support young people in our community, and that it has stoked that flame of generosity within you to continue to give of your time, talents, and finances. We simply cannot do this work without you. I encourage you to consider signing up to volunteer in the year ahead as an application reader, to speak to our scholars during a training, as a micro mentor through our Palmer Connections mentoring platform, or making that longer term commitment and applying to be a formal mentor to one of our scholars. Thank you again for your ongoing support. If you are so caught up with the program that you have not yet made your gift, don't sweat, there's still time. You can make that donation using the button that pops up on the screen, through the link in the chat, or through our website. And of course, if you prefer a check, you can always send that through the mail. We will be sure to share the total funds raised today within the next few hours. I wish you all a great rest of your afternoon. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you again for your commitment to support our scholars, no matter where they start, no matter what their path.